There's my little wizard-hatted weapon. Over here. Okay. What was this again? Let's see. Rockets. Do I have to launch myself into that target? So I can just take this rocket here to see. I thought I heard a horn when I was watching the replay of this. I don't want to use this. Let's use this. Yay! Upper that them. No. Oh, a minecart. You gotta love that convenient Zonai technology. Minecarts. Actually, yeah, no, minecarts, they have minecarts. I was just thinking of the Goron and their minecarts, and then realized, no, the Zonai have minecarts. So how are these things gonna move? Why are there a few of them here? We're going up that way, right? What's that way? How am I gonna... Do I take one of these rockets and just... Typically, it's room per room. Whoa, okay, maybe that, well, works for me. Not the smoothest ride, but... Sprockets! Okay, so what am I supposed to do here? Can it fit here? And there we are. Okay, that was easy enough. I'm not sure if that was what it was intended to be, but simple enough. Last night I streamed on Twitch Resident Evil 2's re-release. And even though it doesn't feel like Resident Evil 2, it's a good thing for me because I wasn't a big fan of that game. But we're going to be doing that series on It's on Switchman sooner or later. Oh. I may do all of them. I've never finished 0. Never. So I have to finish that game first. Like I was saying, I think I heard a horn player in my rewatching. Oh. And it was somewhere around here. A little southward. Oh, I have to equip a shield? There you have it. So now, oh yeah, let me do this first. Okay. I want to get my heart container. But again, we're looking for a horn player. And we have to unleash the third great fairy. Oh, now where was... Here. Hi. Hearts container. Yes. Well, thank you. I'm wondering if you get every one of your heart containers back. So that's 16 now. Go and bring peace to the Empire. Let's say 4, 8, I think, 4, 8. Yeah, that's 16, right? So we have 20 if you look at the extras. So now let's go back where we were. It was the Lucky Gazette. Wait, we went from, you said here, you went north. Let's go back for a second here. Gotta go backwards. Alright. We're gonna do this, man. We're gonna reinforce our armor, we're gonna get ready, and then we're gonna head right to the castle. With all of these side quests still available. Because we've got to finish. I actually got a call last night from GameStop. They said it'll be ready on Friday. So I'm hoping I don't have to... I'm hoping my number doesn't get called. For... If you don't know what I've never even had to apply for it until recently. And then they summoned me, which means I have to be prepared. For those of you that don't know, because it's pretty much not anywhere but in the United States... Since this place is so free, you have no choice. You have to, at one point of your life, more or less, be summoned for jury duty, which means that there are a lot of criminal cases that go on, and you have to be alerted that for a week, you could be called into a local courthouse and sit there and wait for them to call you again. For you have to. It's like a 6-hour shift at a job where you just got to sit there and wait for them to call your name, and then. If you're, it doesn't matter like what your profile is, but if they think that you're available for, you have to miss work. And like I wouldn't have to miss work because it doesn't open till 10. But if they think that, they would make you be available for work, from work, you'd have to miss your job and go there and wait for about a week to be called into a court case. And then you would be interviewed by 2 lawyers. And if they didn't want you, they'd send you home. Or if they did, then you'd have to sit and listen to the trial and serve as a juror, because you pay these judges all this money to not actually be judges. And again, you have no choice. You have to do it. If you don't appear, they'll fine you, and then they'll make you do it even sooner. It's usually after you get summoned. If you get called or don't get called, you can get like a 2+ year period of freedom where you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to get conjured or anything. But if your number, like I said, if your number does get called, then for a week at least you have to sit around the courthouse and wait for them to call you. And unless they send you home because you're not a viable juror candidate for whatever case they have going on or whatever, or they just don't like you, whatever it is, or you just talk yourself out of it by saying something along the lines of, I don't like people and I'm going to kill everybody here or whatever, they might put you in jail, but like you might not have to do jury duty. And in fact, jury duty is suffering process. It's a week of suffering, at least. And some people have had to serve jury duty and got involved in these long-ass trials where they were sequestered, meaning they were put into a hotel room where they can only be around the other jurors and just, you know, as long as the trial was going on, not talk to anybody, not talk to their own families, not go home, nothing. So it's a punishment. It's a total punishment, and they act like it's a means to support your community and everything. It's a total fucking punishment. But again, that's the United States. It does nothing but punish you. And if you're a law-abiding citizen, it punishes you worse. So this horrific excuse of a lack of freedom in this free country is something that pretty much every adult has to go through. And again, they will not let you not go through it. Oh, you fuck. So what they say is if you were convicted of a felony, you don't ever have to perform jury duty. And to me, that just says, okay, well then they more or less told you, well, if you're a felon, you don't have to do something that nobody wants to do. So again, in the United States, it's better to be a criminal than to be an honest citizen. Because there's not one person I know in the United States that ever said, hey, I really want to go for jury. I hope they summon me. Now, again, I've never really talked about this, but the reason why I keep talking about it now is because it's really bothering me. I have never even had to apply for this in all my years of being alive on this planet. And then recently they found me. And now I have been summoned next week. I have to call on Thursday night, the night before the next big project, to see if I then have to appear and when I would have to appear at the courthouse. And at that point, if I do have to appear at the courthouse, then I have to just sit around from 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the evening, or 3 o'clock, whatever the fuck it is, and wait for a lawyer to, because again, if I show up at 10 o'clock in the morning and they call me in right away and they interview me and say, okay, you're not what we're looking for, and send me home, okay, that's the best case scenario if my number gets called. If... Do I hear a horn? I don't hear a horn. If I don't... get called in, then I don't have to worry about it. But if I do get called in and they don't call my number right away, then I have to just keep going back until they do call my number. And again, it's my shift is over at 9, and the gym that I work in is not that far from where this courthouse is, more or less. So I wouldn't have to miss a minute of work. So I'd have to go to work too. So I'd go from being able to, have a simple, physically taxing but still simple day to have a long fucking day, and I don't even know when I'd be able to work out. So it's something I'm really hoping. I'm just hoping and hoping and hoping I don't have to get called in. Because if I don't get called in, then I don't have to worry about it for at least 2 more years. And again, the next day is the next big project, so I'd like to not be distracted. Or have to go to GameStop like 4 in the evening. But again, if based on my number and based on the odds, I would feel confident that I wouldn't have to worry about getting called in. But it's me. My life sucks, and nothing I ever want happens, and everything I don't want to happen happens. So I'm just dreading the clear-cut possibility. Did I ever go here? I've never been there. So even if they said, yeah, you got about a 1% chance, I'd be like, yeah, I'm that 1% chance. Like, it's just one of those things that I just don't feel comfortable under the circumstances. Like, I'm not even a registered voter because voting in the United States is completely meaningless. It's meaningless. This country was bought and sold and paid for a long time ago. The 2 people they throw up every 4 years doesn't mean anything. It's a complete joke. And like George Carlin says on election day, I stay home. I don't vote. Fuck them. And I mean, that's just the way it is. There's no reason to vote, especially in the United States. You're not voting for anything. They're going to just keep reprocessing. They nominate their own people. They don't have any public nominations. The vote is completely fixed. It's a joke. It's a total joke. Again, I find that pretty fucking hypocritical for all these Trump worshippers to say Biden stole the election. Dude, Trump didn't beat anybody. Trump never won a primary. Like he's a fucking fraud in every way. He's a fraudulent Christian. He's a fraudulent conservative. He's just a fucking fraud. But because everybody in the United States is a pathetic fucking loser and a waste of fucking space, more or less, they just cling so tightly to what they think reminds them of the old times. Remember back in the 80s when we could say whatever we wanted? Yeah, I remember that, you fucking jerk off. Hey, don't call me that. Yeah, they think that like Trump's bringing us back to the 80s. Well, fuck it is. I still have my clothes on, so this shouldn't be too god-awful. Oh, I've done this before. Okay. And fire at the enemy's head. You, no problem, you disembodied voice, you. Okay, so if I shoot you in the neck, it's not going to make any difference, right? I know. I mean, come on, dude. Seriously. Thank you. At this stage of the game, you got to give me the archery. What is it, Persona 5? Ouch. He's eating up my arrows. Oh, that was relatively easy. Oh. So as I keep mentioning from previous Zeldas and everything, with the previous Zeldas, what would typically happen is, in the original Zelda, you had a wooden sword, and then you had a white sword, and then you had a big sword. And it never was called the Master Sword. It was a sword that the sprite was diagonal. But the message given to you is master using this, and you can have it. Now, again, we're talking Japan, so that means you'd have to learn some kind of spiritual art or whatever to master using the sword. You couldn't just use it. You have to earn the right. Oh. But you would have that sword and a bow and an arrow. Bow was more an item that you can use as a sub-weapon or what have you. And then as the series progressed, the way it would work was you would get a hero's bow and the master sword, and you would use the hero's bow, and every time you would defeat an enemy with the bow, or even in general, if your arrow max or capacity was at 0, you would get arrow refills. And you would have to get, I think I'm not sure what it was. You know, there would be certain side quests where you can expand your quiver. A quiver of arrows. You would expand your quiver from 20 max to 30 max to 60 max to 90 max, whatever. In Skyward Sword, there was it was like a personal slingshotting mini game you would play, where you would have to use the hook shot to go across this Hell in a Cell type cage and pick up these star fragments or whatever, and you would have to do it in a specific amount of time, and when you did, you would advance your quiver. Oh boy. Excuse me. So, like I said, you were never really out of arrows because you would always be able to replenish your supply by defeating enemies. You didn't have to defeat a specific amount of enemies. Or a specific set of enemies, I should say. So, You were never out of arrows, and you didn't really have to buy. I mean, in the older game, in the first one, you kind of had to buy arrows, but that was about it. Now they're cheap here, but again, when you defeated enemies, you would also get rupees. So you don't get those here. Rupees either happen or they don't in this game. You're talking about the goats, right?
Ah. Oh.
I mean, I'm still curious as to what this is about, but... And of course, this song was the... What was it called again? Yeah.
Hi! Oh.
Hi, baby. The worst of the game is... Okay, so he went this way. I see a fire down here. Ultra Ball Hall.
Oh.
Nah, or why not? Nah, fine. Take my money. You said any way I wanted, right? What? Where are you? You Gorons, you have you start games.
Oh. Oh.
Where is it? Where'd you put it? Oh, I have to go get it. $95.5. You didn't happen to see a horn player around here, did you? Can I get my money back too? $5? Come on, give me my money back. I mean, I could just create a cart. Or a spring. I could do that. I don't think he's going to let me do that, though. I'm kind of coming to the conclusion that this guy didn't fall down. I also don't think if he did and he was somehow in trouble, he'd be blowing a horn everywhere. What do you got for me, a little weird rabbit thing? Is this a cave with diamonds? Diamonds! Oh. But anyway, as I was saying before, they took Zelda and made it really, really difficult. Get out of here. Get out of here. Very difficult. I remember in Skyward Sword, not Skyward Sword, in Twilight Princess. If I said Skyward Sword before, it was Twilight Princess. I remember that one, which was the best Zelda game, one of the greatest games ever made. I remember that one. You even had a spirit of a warrior that would teach you sword techniques. It also had, and I think I've mentioned this before, it also had sumo wrestling. And when the match was about to start, somebody would go, "Tabeoliwa!" It was great. That game was just amazing. In every way. Oh, hey, how you doing? Fuck you. Oh, hey, how are you? Is that your brother? Fuck you. Or your sister, or your non-gender conforming other self? Because that's a thing. Oh, yeah, you. What are we at? What's with all the cave-ins, man? Yeah, bust that tomato. Opal! Breaker shopper. Ooh, that's an ice Leica. Ah, fuck. Come on, take the fucking bow out. For God's sakes. Fuck. Come on. What the fuck froze me? Can you stop with this shit where you gotta take 15 fucking turns? Why is it doing that? Fucking every enemy is a pain in the ass. What do you got for me? Better be good. No, that's garbage. I want to look at that. Alright. I'll be back in a sec.